Welcome, guys, back to Real Love Scenario. I wanted to sing it there, and then I
did. I
stopped
felt
mid.
it. I felt it. I was about to hit it with you.
I think somebody commented on one of the things like he didn't sing it that time.
You can't put something out there and take it back.
Is that the thing now? Real Love Scenario.
Real Love Scenario.
Yeah, I missed the harmony on the last episode. Y'all need to go
Just
check
go
that
back
out.
and watch it so you can catch it.
Yeah.
If you need a reason to go back, that's the reason. Go check it out.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. They're a little old now.
Oh.
Casey and JoJo.
Oh yeah, no, we good.
Yeah,
we'd be better off doing it ourselves. Ba-da-ba.
Okay, so now we're gonna get into our real love scenario. If you haven't watched the show before, we talk or people write in their real life love scenarios, and we give them our advice to women and the man's perspective. And yeah, we want you guys to write in, and we want you guys to join the conversation. Give them your advice as well in the comments on YouTube and in the reviews if you want to. So
just talk to us. We love it when you talk to us.
Yeah,
we love
do.
it when you write in. We love it when you comment on the people that wrote in. We love it when you talk to us on social media. Just talk to us. We love that.
Y'all was coming at Rhonda on one of them.
Just a little bit. It's okay. I'm a big girl. I can handle it. It's all good. I appreciate different perspectives and people challenging my thoughts. I'm good with that.
That's why Rhonda got good friends though, because you had friends tag teaming in like.
For sure.
Hold on, what?
Like, I got this. Let me find this article. Huh. Boom. Harvard said. And if Harvard said it, it's basically the Bible.
Basically
the Bible.
Well, let's hop into
yes.
real
Let's
love
jump
scenario.
into it. This is Ive from DC. What is he? Don't mute DC.
Don't mute DC.
Here we go. I can't believe I'm actually writing this, but here goes. Oh boy. I'm a 32-year-old new mom to a beautiful baby boy, and as much as I should be enjoying my new life with him and his dad, I'm completely heartbroken and angry. We met a little over a year ago, and to make a long story short, we fell in love instantly, and 8 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. Okay. Yep. Got knocked up overnight practically. We were ecstatic, but that was short-lived because 6 months into my pregnancy, I found out he had 7 children, not the 3 he told me when we met. Oh, die.
Don't you know, like in certain, when you're reading a book, you like, that's good, and you like highlight it.
Yeah.
For like relationships, you should have like red flags, like
That's one. Mark that. Mark that. Mark that. Jesus. Okay. Where was I? I forgave him for that. Okay, so she forgave him for lying about that. Then 2 weeks before I gave birth, I found out that there were not only 1, but 2 women having his babies just a few months after I was set to deliver our baby boy. Girl, okay. Although devastated, I forgave that too because we both really wanted our family to work and he promised to make it all right. Fast forward a few weeks later, I caught him cheating, and at that point I broke it off. While we've managed to co-parent really well since the breakup, he has been begging me to come back home, stepping up in every way, being an amazing father, and just constantly telling me he is ready for his family. And once again, I was about to forgive him. But just as I was about to take him back, I got an email from a woman telling me that not only has she been on a few dates with him recently, he told her he is not sure if our son is his. I am sick of him. Damn. Okay.
somebody wrote an email. That's serious.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I was livid. Okay. So livid that I immediately put a last name change in motion for our baby. Oh. I feel completely justified, but others say I'm crazy, but I just want to erase it all and allow my son to have a beautiful life without the drama from his father, who apparently doesn't even want him.
I don't want you to close that yet.
Okay. You gonna break this down?
We're breaking this down per thing. Okay. So, well, first question first.
What's his name, sis? So we can put nobody will date him. Sorry, go ahead.
What's her name? D? You need to create like a whole website, like this person.
Stay away from this man.
True facts.
Yeah.
Okay. So first, I'll ask this question. Got knocked up practically overnight, and I saw this on social media. Somebody said that nobody gets pregnant on accident necessarily. Like when you get pregnant, you know exactly what you're doing. Do you believe that? I mean, I'll ask you and then I'll tell you my thoughts.
The only way I think that people get pregnant by accident is if the condom breaks and you don't know that the condom is broken. If that's not the situation, if you didn't wear a condom, you were having sex to potentially get pregnant. You shouldn't be surprised. That's not a mistake. That was that was very risky behavior. And so getting pregnant is a result of having unprotected sex. The only time that it would be a mistake is if the condom broke.
Because I hear the whole, of course, being a guy, right? And I've had friends who's gotten girls pregnant, abortions, miscarriages, different things like that. And had babies and whatnot. First, I feel like the pre-cum thing is BS.
Me too.
Like, that's a BS thing. Like, I think like that's an excuse to make you feel better about like doing something you actually didn't like want to do. Yeah. But you did in the moment. It's like, and then when I found out the dudes was like, oh, it was pre-cum, it's pre-cum. Then once I, not saying dug a little deeper, but found out more about the situation, it's like, no, you shot the club up. You shot the club up. You shot the club up. Like, it wasn't no
and of course
it wasn't no dribble of cum that like seeped out before you actually
that had the baby in it. That one little dribble. Of course, scientifically, you can be impregnated with pre-cum, but in most of these situations that we speak of, y'all, this was a full-on baby shot and curated. Yes, so yes, I don't think it was a mistake. I just think they were in love or they were hooped up on those initial feelings and they were having unprotected sex and boom, baby.
And I don't want to get too graphic with asking you questions. Maybe I'll start myself first. I've been in situations prior to Brie, of course, to where I have shot the club up before and just was kind of like,
see what happens.
Like I had one situation.
YOLO.
most of the time I will wear a condom, or like I don't, even prior to Brie, I wouldn't have sex with people that I didn't really know like that. So if I was having unprotected sex, I felt comfortable with like the situation to where it's like
you would have unprotected sex with someone you didn't really know.
Yeah, with a stranger or something like that. But there was one situation where a girl was on birth control, so it was like whatever. But then there was one situation where it was just like, then the next day I'm like, yo, you on birth control? She was like, it's a little too late to be asking that, ain't it?
Ain't it? I was about to say, and also, how do you know they're on birth control? Because that's what they told you.
Well, the one girl, she had like the thing in her arm. I could actually like feel the thing in her arm. And I don't know, you could tell sometimes too, like women who like just don't want no child, like you know what I'm saying, but it's like nah, I ain't trying no baby, like
get that thing, you ain't trapping me, sir.
Exactly.
And yes, men do trap women. Yes, they do.
That's true. But I say that to say that this whole, I got knocked up practically overnight after 8 weeks of being with somebody. It's like,
seems like you were family planning.
Yeah, it's like people, and not saying that it's like you're like, oh, I can have a child or I will have a child with this person. It's just like if it happened, you just kind of be like, okay. There's been plenty of people where I've been like, certain people I was like, I mean, to where for certain people it was like, oh, please no. Please no.
Yeah. No, I've certainly had unprotected sex and I've had pregnancy scares. I've never been pregnant. I've never had an abortion. But I've certainly been in position to consider those things and be nervous about those things. And I have never been almost pregnant by mistake. That has actually never happened to me. Any of the times that I was like thinking I was pregnant, we both, we knew what we had done.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yes. Like
we knew what we had done.
We knew what happened here.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so y'all can answer and tell us how y'all feel about that. But this next part. So this is where I say we'll take our highlighter and kind of red flag it here.
Okay.
I just don't understand in relationships just in general from the beginning, just lying about anything is just, especially, and I know that you could probably attest to this. And I feel like, unfortunately, that men do this a lot more with women. But lying about like things that it's like, why would you even lie about that? So first, you just exited out 4 humans that you created.
A dirty, low down monkey with a wig on it is what he is, for making it seem like he has human beings that do not exist.
That's crazy. Like that's, like I said, lying about anything. If you had, I don't know, 4 cousins and you told her you had 2, like lying about anything.
Siri, she be wanting to be in the mix, don't she?
This is like the second episode where she just like,
what are we saying, girl? Chill.
maybe she read the whole scenario and was like, I
need to jump in here. Okay, seriously, in all seriousness, this is actually one of the most devastating situations I've ever heard, not just on our show.
Yeah.
But just in general, because it is layer after layer. And we only on the second layer. We ain't even at we're not even at what her question is yet. We just got to break it down. So, okay, lied about having children. Huge, huge, huge red flag. That's not even a red flag. That's a stop sign. That is a
stop sign.
That's sign.
Yeah. Like I said, lying about anything in general is just like, what? Like, why would you lie about that? But exiting out for him, like, it's not like even it's like a thing to where you can say, oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a deliberate, like, you can excuse somebody slipping, like, something slipping somebody's mind to where it's like a realistic thing to where, I don't know. What GPA did you have in college? I think like a 3.2, 3.5, and then it's like, oh, I see your transcript. No, you really had a 3.0. It's like,
okay, it's a
okay,
long time
I'm
ago.
sorry, but it's like things like that you don't forget. Like, what was your major in college? And if you say psychology, but you were really like, I don't know, a bio major, it's like you don't forget stuff like that.
No,
like that's a deliberate lie,
intentional.
You forgot 4 human beings.
Yeah, you didn't forget them. You just felt like if you were honest about it, she would have not been interested.
Which is deceitful.
Yes.
It's manipulative.
Yes.
These are all red flags.
These are stop signs.
You're right.
Yes.
These are stop signs. Yes. Barriers.
Yes.
And basically what you are climbing over it. Like, these are things in the road to where it's like, do not go past this. Do not go past this. And
but in that situation, she was already pregnant. She was pregnant by the time she found out about these additional children that he lied about.
So
which doesn't change the fact that you probably should have stopped trying to jump over the hurdle of being in a relationship with him. Because at that point, you had a child together, so you had to work through that relationship. But yeah, I don't know about the romantic part of it.
So let's dive into this, because this is something that a lot of people I don't see discussed a lot. And I think it's managing multiple relationships within an overall relationship. Okay. So now D and the dude, the baby father, they now have 2 relationships. They have their intimate relationship with one another, but then they have a relationship as parents of this child. Right. So even though you are in a situation to where your intimate relationship is going through issues, you still have this relationship here. Yeah. So if there's a red flag or a stop sign that says this relationship is over, you should still be able to get to a point to where you can close off this relationship, but still foster this relationship. Yes. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people have trouble with separating the two. It's kind of like Brie and I. It's like Brie and I are married, but we also have businesses together. Those 2 relationships within an overall relationship. So it's like the way we operate as a couple is one thing, but the way we operate in our business is a separate relationship. We have to respect each other in certain ways there,
100%.
Here as well. And there's been times where this has been good and this hasn't been great. And there's been times where this has been great and this hasn't been good. Yeah. Like, it's been plenty of times where relationships great, but once we start talking about business, it's like,
and being able to compartmentalize that, I don't think is an easy thing to do, especially in this design where, I don't know, because I'm not a mom yet, but I think that yearning for family structure, especially if you didn't yourself have it, you get so caught up in like trying to work through issues that are significant for you but you're trying to work through them to present a family design to the child. Although you are not being fed, you are not being seen, you are not being respected as the partner. You may very well be being respected as the mom, but to me, even those lines are a little blurred, because how can you respect me as the mother of your child if you do things that you know are going to emotionally harm me, which would subsequently make me inefficient for our kid?
Well, let me say this as well when it pertains to this situation. And this is for everybody out there. And I feel like women do it more than men.
Okay.
So it's maybe a message for the ladies as well.
All right.
Is stop creating this fantasy for your life off of a period to where you least knew somebody. So,
say it again. Say that again.
So it's like, I don't even know if I remember what I said, but basically it's like in the beginning of a relationship, you don't know that person that well. And think about it, like you've hired people. Remember, you know how people are when they first start a job, they're like happy, motivated, they're doing everything. How can I help you? Like they're excited. Let them settle in for like 6 months and then you'll start to understand who they truly are. Because once the newness wears off of it, the excitement wears off of it, and they start to settle into who they really are, then they're showing you who they really are.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this situation, off of this 8 weeks, she built this image in her head of how he was behaving, of what their life could be like.
Yeah.
So then now when that expectation or that vision or that fantasy is then now broken up or taken away, you're still holding on to this point to where you barely knew this man and things were brand new, but you're flying past the stop signs because you're still hoping that you can get to that thing that you envisioned when you barely knew this man.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think that that's a huge part of the situation, because it's like, yo, you should have been walked away from this. Like, why would you, as soon as somebody's lying about how many kids they have, like you said, that's a stop sign. But the thing that's making you go past it is that you just had this vision, like this family structure of what this would be.
Yeah.
Because the reality of it is that if you look at people's lives, like, number one, I grew up like single parent for most of, like, with my mom just in the household. My parents co-parented.
Yeah.
And you did too.
Yep.
We're great people.
Yes.
Successful in our careers. Like, you know, we're not perfect at all, but, you know, I feel like we're very insightful.
Go ahead.
I feel like we're very insightful. One thing we do is we self-reflect. We're always trying to be better, do better. Like, nobody's perfect at all, but like, you know, we're great people. Yeah. And I can show you plenty of people with two parents in the home that are jacked up.
Exactly.
Like,
my ex, he was married for almost 20 years. And from that marriage, they had 2 daughters. And they waited until the youngest daughter was about to go into her freshman year of college to get a divorce, although the relationship had been fractured for years.
Yeah.
I mean, he was sleeping on the couch. They were barely speaking. They were not having family dinners. It was always either him with the girls or the mom with the girls, or everybody just was in their own space. The kids said, thank God, when they sat them down and be like, so we're getting divorced. They were like, about time. Like, we were sick of you doing this. Like, it was so obvious. And we are like, too big for you to even be thinking that you were hiding this stuff from us. And so I would never try to speak from a parent's position, because I think, thinking of my own mother, I'm sure that she would have preferred for my father to be the father and the man that he said he would be to her and to us. But there also just has to be you have to come to a reckoning and an awakening for yourself to say, you know what? Let's just put the energy into the child and parenting versus trying to have this full on unit. And you'll still be a unit. Yep. It just will lack a great deal of romantic experiences between the two of you. And that's probably best for the both of you. He doesn't respect you to honor you. And you will ultimately not respect him because he doesn't respect you. It will be a vicious cycle of nothingness, which... And not to skip ahead, because we're going to work through some more of these layers, but this is what takes you then to the last question. Because now the disrespect from the romantic piece of it is bleeding into the parent relationship. And now you want to act like this is not his dad.
Yeah.
Now you want to erase him being a father.
I mean, it's something that when I talk to a lot of women who are in situationships, I always ask, like, are you choosing a healthy, happy relationship and finding somebody who matches that, or are you choosing a person and trying to get a healthy, happy relationship out of that person? And that's a real thing when people choose people versus choosing something that they want and trying to find somebody who matches what they want. And I think when people tend to have babies with people, then that's even more like, you know, like a focus is that you're really choosing this person now and trying to get what you want out of them when they're not willing to give you what you want just because you're having a child with them. And like I said, I don't know the feeling, but I know that it's probably all based off of an expectation that you had. A vision that you had, a way that you thought your life would be. And I'm here to say that I've being the child, because a lot of times I feel like people will be like, oh, I'm doing this for my child, but you kind of doing it for you. Yeah. Because your child ain't born. Like, you had the vision of what this would be. Your child doesn't know. And like when I was born, I can't even imagine my parents being together. That was the normal. So it's not like I
was used to something.
And like, oh, like, no, my mom was my mom. I saw my dad almost every day, but they were always not together. That was my norm. Didn't think anything like crazily about it. Didn't, like I said, it wasn't even a thing that I was like, oh, I want my mom and dad to be together, because I've never seen it. I couldn't even imagine them together. Like, I'm like, y'all were married? Like,
that's interesting.
Like, this is interesting. Like, so it's like, speaking from the child's perspective, is like, you think that you're doing this for your child, but it would have been worse if I was in the house with my parents arguing every day, and like you said, seeing my dad sleep on the couch and this and that, and like all these issues, that I feel like that would have had more of a negative effect on me than just seeing my mom, you know, rock out and just knowing my dad. And then also what it does for you is that it opens you up to the opportunity of meeting somebody new who could be a great father and influence in your child's life.
Hello, Russell Wilson. How you doing today? Hope you well wherever you are.
The Russes of the world.
The Russes of the world.
So it's like that opens you up, but as long as you stuck on this person, because what you think you're stuck on the family structure. No, what you're stuck on is the person, because you can get a great family structure with somebody else. Like, I call my stepdad Pop now because literally the role he took over after my dad passed, like, I lived in the house with you. There's a lot of you in me, honestly. And honestly, for my adult life, I'll have more of you in my life than I actually had of my dad.
Of your dad, yeah.
So it's like, this person can come in, if it's the right person, and give you that family structure and everything that you wanted.
Yeah. My mom's ex, not her ex-husband, her ex-boyfriend, is very much like that with me. Like, I see him as a father figure. He came into my life when I was 13, and he's still in my life to this day. When I feel like I need that father figure conversation or camaraderie, I can go to him. And him and my mom have not been together, gosh, since I was probably 18 or so. And he came and made such an impact on our lives that my mom and him are friends. They're very good friends today. Like, they hang out. It's no romance. I keep wishing for it so badly because I love them both so much. But I think to the point you were just making, they know that's not our design. That's not going to be good for us. But he wasn't my dad. He came in and loved my mother enough to love the children in her life, to create a family structure. And I'm very thankful for that. Very thankful for that. I think that if my mom had tried to force things with my father, another thing Dre and I have in common is both of our fathers have passed away. I think that it would have been I would have had a tumultuous childhood. I really would have, because of the demons that my father was dealing with. If my mother didn't remove him from the house and just kept letting him come around, I can't imagine what that really would have looked like. So, you know, in many ways, my heart is bleeding for D, because I think about when I want to have a baby, you know, like, I want a family. I want my child to wake up in a house with both of us in there most of the time. I want to be able to say, I don't know, go ask your dad. And dad is in the other room. When dad is in the room, just on the other side of it. I very, very, very much want that. And I think when you first meet someone and you have all of this euphoria that you all seemingly had, you were having sex enough and good enough to feel comfortable not being protected. I'm just going to assume that. it all felt really good. It all felt like, oh my goodness. And we're giving advice from our own perspectives, and we're giving advice from the perspectives of people we see and know. There's somebody's story that worked out like this. They met, in 8 weeks they got pregnant, and they have been together for 20 years or 10 years, and everything is all good. It's just no right or wrong when it comes to that. But I think retrospectively, and I'm sure she probably beats herself up enough, so I ain't trying to beat you up, sis. But that is fast to bring a child into the world together, because you two are so, that is to me one of the greatest responsibilities you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Raising a human being. So it seems like too quick of a decision to bring a baby into this world. And I'm sure the baby is a blessing. And you can't change it now. But I think a lot of her pain and inability to have saw those flags as stop signs is what now is having her want to make such a harsh, and maybe it's not that harsh, which we'll get into, but a harsh decision around the baby's name.
Let's move into the baby's name. Let's move to that. Okay. So I'll say this, is that she has to take some responsibility for where their relationship is. Mm-hmm. It's like there were stop signs, as we're calling them, and you flew past them.
Yes.
Because you had some fantasy of what you wanted for like a family structure or with him or whatever.
And he might have been pouring into that fantasy too.
Yeah, but you got to be able to see past BS.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you have to. Like I think I said it. I don't know if I said it on this episode, but like I said, if you could say anything to serve your own self-interest.
You can.
Anything you want. So you have to go back to what I said in the beginning, is that you have two relationships within like kind of one relationship. You have this intimate relationship, and then you have this parenting relationship. Yeah. So at this point, you have to understand that those are two separate things. And you have to understand this, like, just because he's a horrible, like, intimate partner or significant other doesn't mean he's a bad father.
Right. So
you need to kind of, first, personal opinion, I'm speaking theoretically, but for you, D, cut off the relationship part is done, right? Mm-hmm. Just throw it in the trash. It's not a thing. It's not an expectation, like nothing. So you should just put out your head as like, that's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. He's not my person. He's not for me, whatever. Now let me just look at him in the lane of strictly dad.
Yes.
How is he showing up as a father? How is he supporting me as a father? Does he seem like he wants to be in his child's life? Mm-hmm. When I'm talking to him, I'm speaking to him in reference to our child and being a father. I'm not saying like how you come around for me, how you show up for me, how are you helping us with this child? When are you going to come see your child? Like how often do you want to see it? The conversation is all around this child. Right. It's not about us. It's not about you. It's not about me. And I feel like if you take that mindset, it almost gives you I feel like and like I said, I haven't gone through this situation. So maybe some people in the comments, if you're going through this, you could say how you feel or how you going through. But I feel like if you put yourself in a mindset of this is what I need to do, if this person is going to help me, they're going to help me. If not, they're not. But it's like almost like it being a bonus versus like an expectation. Then you kind of put it in your head like, you know, if they're adding and they're doing stuff for this child, like this is great. Like makes things easier on me. It's great for our child. But I'm at peace kind of with like, if this is just me having to do this for my child, then, you know, I'm going to be doing this for my child. And you have to take that into consideration, seeing as he's telling you that he doesn't have 4 children that he had. He's telling somebody else that the child y'all have isn't his. So you have to come into the situation and understand that like, this is my child and I'm going to be responsible for taking care of this child. And if their father wants to be a part of this child's life, you know, I'm going to talk to him about that, see how he acts and respond accordingly. But you gotta, and this is something that we could talk about in a different thing, because this is huge. You have to understand how to gain closure on your own. and not look for somebody to give you some type of validation or explanation in order for you to close a chapter on somebody.
That is
like, stop asking, why did you do this? Why? Like, you got to learn how to just be like, all right, this is how I'm going to move past this situation. This is how I'm going to heal on my own, and come to this conclusion on my own. I don't need to hear from him or her. I don't need to talk to him or her in order to understand why this happened and give me an explanation. It's like, you just need to put yourself in a space and understand that this is my reality. This is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to handle it. And you go about your day and be at peace in that situation.
Please. I have to say this. When it comes to healing and learning how to navigate through life as life comes at you, and it comes at you fast, and sometimes it comes at you very unfavorably, that what Dre just talked about is going to be one of the biggest, hardest pieces of work that you will have to do consistently over, and because that experience will never stop. You will go through life and consistently encounter things and people and situations where you felt wronged. The other party did not feel that they did anything, therefore will not provide you with closure that you feel like you need from them. I have experienced that with jobs.
Yeah.
I have experienced that with romantic relationships. I've experienced that with friendships. And I'm here to tell you, it is so worth it once you do it. But that is hardcore work. Get the book, talk to the lady on the couch, child, because closing a chapter on someone or with a situation where they did not contribute to that closure, man, it's tough. It's tough, and you probably won't get it right the first time. And I think to have someone to suggest that she really do that when this person is still, they have to be around. That's hard, because you've had to forgive a man who may have very well said out of his mouth he wants forgiveness, but his behavior is very much telling you he doesn't even deserve forgiveness, right? So you have to forgive him and close that chapter without him, but still make room and be open to the relationship as a dad, or the relationship between the two parents.
I completely agree. And what makes it even more difficult, I know I said that you have to do that, is a difficult thing, but what makes it even more difficult is when you are trying to close a chapter to where you have to admit that you did things wrong.
Yeah. Yes. So you got to forgive yourself.
So you got to forgive yourself too. It's not also about forgiving the person.
Yeah.
It's that you have to be like, I contributed to this.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with being like, I did this. That's just my reality.
Yeah.
If, I knew better, I would have did better.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's helped me with that closure too, is like, a lot of times people beat themselves up when it comes to things. And for me, it's like, you can't beat yourself up too bad, because a lot of times if you were doing something straight with ill intent, then that's one thing.
Yeah.
But when there's a lot of situations where it's like, yo, if you would have knew better, if I would have knew better, I would have
done better.
I would have done better in that situation. So even though I did make a mistake, like, it's not like I willingly was like, I know what this is going to end up like, let me just do this. It's like, I didn't make this mistake on purpose. Like, it's a learning experience for me. Opportunities will continue to come, but I'm not going to beat myself up about like this decision that I made. And I think that that's one of the things that could be an issue with her, is that if you beat yourself up, then you're trying to find a way to rectify whatever mistake you made. Yeah. So in order to correct that mistake, it looks like this situation being a family structure and being together to correct whatever mistake you felt like you made. And also when it comes to closure, I add this, is that you can't worry about other people. Cause I feel like in this situation, it's kind of almost embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that it's this person, and then you're telling people the situation. Oh, like, why aren't you the guy? Like, and it's like, oh, he has seven kids. Like, whoop, like,
wait, I thought he only had three.
And then it's like,
girl, you took him back, right? And all of the judgy language that people shoot at you when you are vulnerably sharing your story with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been at a baby shower to where they was like, what's the mother's name again? Like, literally, like, to where it's like these two people don't know each other really.
Wow.
That's embarrassing.
Yikes.
And that's not ideally how you would want that thing to happen. So when it comes to this process, I think that that's all balled up into her anger and frustration with this situation. Now, as we're talking about the question of changing the child's name, because I think that what we talked about this whole episode thus far has contributed to whatever frustration she has in her mind. Personally, I think you have to evaluate how he is as a father, and how he's showing up as a father. And I think that you need to ask him. People don't like to have hard conversations, but number one is like, what is your plan for this child? When I first met you, you basically didn't acknowledge 4 of them. 4 of your children you already have.
Yeah.
I got an email from a woman that told me that you weren't even claiming this child.
Yeah.
So I need to have a conversation. Do you want to be a part of this child's life? If you are, I'm going to hold you to that. And if you choose not to show up in the ways that you're telling me, like, things are essentially going to be consequences to those actions.
Yeah.
But I think a conversation needs to be had, because if he's willing to be a good father and, you know, be there for his child, like, I think that's, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, I think where I get a little stuck in between on that question is because the child is already here. And while it sounds like it's still a baby, the child has had that name. That name is on a birth certificate or something already. And so to go through the action, which I'm sure is probably not a lot, costs some money. You probably got to fill out some paperwork and change the baby's name. I feel like if this person is being a good father and wants to be a good father, and I get the idea that clearly they don't, because they're telling someone that this is not even their child. But I think if they really are still doing what they're supposed to do, they are still showing up and taking care of the child, I don't think that you should change the child's name. I think you should leave it. Now, I do think that once you have that conversation and you say, what do you want for this child? What are your plans for this child? And the answer is something that is just unclear, or he's just still being a mess. I do actually understand the idea of like trying to make it seem like the kid doesn't, not the kid doesn't exist, that relationship doesn't exist. But you gotta put yourself in the child's shoes. No matter how much you may not like this person anymore, you may not even like the behaviors that they're exhibiting to you and others. That child will have to form their own conclusion about their parent. They will have to come to that on their own. I know people, I have been this child where I know for a fact my mom thought that my dad at times was the scum of the earth. And I thought he was the best thing ever. And it's nothing that my mom never tried to persuade me otherwise. But I had to grow up and experience, he's both the best thing ever and the scum of the earth. But I came to that conclusion on my own. And so I think even with changing a child's name, that child is going to still have that experience, and legally, that is his baby. So whether you take the name away or not, it can't. If he wants to pursue and be in his kid's life, he has every right to be.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yes.
Because you've grown up in a situation as a woman, I guess, in a sense. So number one, this is more legal. Once a child is born, does a woman have is unilaterally the right, the sole ability to change a child's name without the father's approval? Do you know if that's legally something you can do? Or when a child is born, is that their child until they determine a custody thing or something like that?
Yeah, as far as I know, if a child is born and the father does not have is not on the birth certificate and or is not with them primarily, it's almost assumed that where the child lives predominantly is the primary caretaker, therefore can make decisions like that. But I do think if there is some lawyer who is probably watching this is like, nah, the child, one parent doesn't have the right to just make a decision. Okay. And that could be for the name. It's just like where some parents will take the kid away. And it can be considered kidnapping if there is an arrangement that says this child is being shared between us. But if the child's not being shared between you, legally, who says it's kidnapping? I'm just taking my kid with me. So, yeah.
So that's my first question. Second question is, I wonder because as we're talking about the name change and stuff like that, your last name is not the same as your mom's.
No, I have my father's last name.
Was there ever a point, do you remember growing up, to where you questioned why that was the case with your mom or anything like that? Or that as a child, that the name, you having a different name from your mom, ever like came in your head as a thought, question, anything? Like, do you remember?
No, not seriously.
Okay.
In a way of like, I really like my mom's last name, and I thought it would have been cool if that was my last name, like some superficial stuff like that. But where that question did come up for me is that one of my brothers, my father's son, does not have my father's last name. And so when that happened, I did question it. And I learned that very similar to this situation, he was never given my father's last name. It was not a change. When he was born, and the mom gave him her last name because my father was absent during the pregnancy. They conceived the child through cheating. So my father was actually with my mother when my brother was born. And so because my father was just not being a good man to this woman while she was carrying the baby, and basically said he wasn't going to be there for the child, she chose at the time of birth to not give him his last name. So I questioned that, and I learned that backstory.
Got you.
Yes.
Got you.
My parents were together when I was born. They weren't married, but they were in a relationship when I was born.
Got you. Yeah, so that's what I'm just thinking with this situation is like, how does it affect the child? I had my dad's last name, but my mom and dad were actually like married.
Did your mother keep your dad's name?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you and your mom had the
Exactly.
same name.
We had the same name.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a thing to where it was like, you know, like, oh, we got different names or anything like that. So I just wondered, like, is that a thing to where, I don't know, it's just,
Would the kid even care?
when it comes to D, it seems like, and with situations like this, it seems like more of a parent thing and how they feel versus like thinking of how the child feels about all of this, or how the child will interpret all of this. It's more about like how I feel, or I want this to be like this, or I want that to be like that.
Yeah, and I think if we're being honest, and I don't know D, but I think D, you have to sit with yourself and really know, are you making this decision as a jab at him, or are you really making this decision because you feel like this is a sensible decision to make? And to me, again, if you are going to erase the child's last name, are you also erasing the father from the child's life? Because if you're not, then there is actually no point. It's no point. It's still going to be this boy's father. He's still going to be with him, whether it's your last name or not. I was still my mother's child having my father's last name. That didn't change anything. Yeah. So, and my mother still allowed my father to have access to me. And I say allowed because my father was oftentimes in position in his life where it probably was not always safe for my mother to give him access to me. But she did when she felt that it was the right thing to do, and she never wanted to keep me from him. So it's like, if you're not going to try to take full custody, ask him to sign over his parental rights, and then subsequently change the baby's name, I feel like this is a jab in response to the jabs that he's taken at you over the last few months, or the last year or so that you guys have been together. It's like, he hit you once, you forgave him. He hit you twice, you forgave him. He hit you uppercut, he hit you with a combo. And now y'all not even together, and he hit you with this uppercut of, I don't even know if that's my baby. So you like, nah, I gotta fight back. And that's a major way to fight back.
That is, I mean, it reminds me of like the physical, like healing, It's like, the way to get better when you're physically healing is to step away, rest, and take the time to recover.
Yeah.
Just because you got stabbing somebody else ain't gonna make you feel better.
Come.
That ain't gonna heal this wound.
Put your cash in.
You just put somebody else in pain with you, but you didn't do anything for yourself.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're gonna continue to stab, the person's going to end up stabbing back.
It's going to keep going.
And y'all not going to heal.
Nope.
Because
and the baby's taking a hit the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, with that, it's like you said, it's a jab. It's really like, are you doing this to really heal? Because like you said, changing the name isn't going to change anything.
No.
But only make it worse with your relationship with him.
Yes.
It's basically like,
now what?
Now what?
Since it ain't your child, he don't have your name. We could take it a step further if you want. It gives that.
It gives that. It gives that, you know, stay petty so you don't gotta get petty type
that's right.
Type of action. And it's like, you don't want this. You want to heal. Like, you want this to be better. Like, that's the thing that I think is the biggest question at the end is like, do you want this situation to be better? And do you want to be in a better place, or do you want somebody to be in misery with you?
Yeah.
Like, is that what you want? Do you want somebody to be in pain? Like, if I'm feeling bad about this, I want you to feel bad too.
Sure.
Or are you looking like, I want to get past this?
And in no way, and I think we've made it clear, in no way are we justifying what he's done.
No.
We made it very clear that these were things that were like, oh no, like he doesn't deserve to be with you or really anybody if he can't even be honest about how many children he has. Like, but we do have to be realistic. A lot of our forgiveness and our healing has nothing to do with other people. It is all about you. It is all about what is going to help you move forward in your best, most whole, most healthy way, regardless of what anybody does to you. When you go to therapy, your therapist isn't necessarily telling you how to fix it. They are equipping you with tools for you to actually fix it. So in this situation, you've got to figure out how to get the tools to make this a good, healthy, happy situation, not only for you, but for the person you're now responsible for, which is him, the baby. If him, the father, does not support that and is an adversary to that, then more important than the child's name, you now need to take steps to make sure that you all either get on the same page or you protect your child with everything that you have in you so that he doesn't, you know, tear up what part of rearing this kid he plays, that he doesn't completely ruin that by not being the man that he needs to be. Because being a good father, just like being a good mother, starts with being a good woman and being a good man.
For sure.
So, you know, you got bigger fish to fry than a name if he is not doing what he is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to gain closure.
Yes.
You have anything else to add to that?
I just give her my sincerest thoughts. I cannot imagine how emotionally devastated she probably is, and the emotional journey women go through when they bring life into this world. So I don't undermine that at all. I really am sending you sincere thoughts and prayers, and especially the baby, because he's the innocent party. But that's all. Love and light.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think my final words is just look at that man. First, relationship done, over. Intimate, anything that's done. But the obligation of somebody being a father does not require a relationship with you. So
not a romantic one.
Not a romantic one.
Right.
Not a romantic relationship with you. That's not like, don't make that a prerequisite for spending time with a child. So try to gain closure on your own. You have some healing to do. Do what you need to do that. You know, if it's taking some time away, going to seek help, finding a book, you know, something, you need to start to gain closure on your own, because this situation isn't healthy for your child, which is the most important thing at this point. You guys co-parenting at the highest level that you possibly can is the best situation for your child. So
absolutely,
that is our, I think that was good advice.
That was. We want to hear what you guys think about it, so please be sure to leave your comments under wherever you're listening. If you're listening, you can leave it in the reviews. If you're checking it out on YouTube, obviously put it in the comments. We love to talk to you. So check us out on social media at Relationship Restored. I am at Ronnie Cakes.
And I'm at Dre Smith. We'll see y'all later.